Hello, Bruce from PondSupply.com. Hey, I want to talk to you today about using plants as a pond filter. You know, a lot of times you start out your pond, it looks great for a few years, and then all of a sudden your filters just don't seem to be able to keep up with it anymore. And I want to tell you a little bit about why that happens and what you can do about it without having to buy a bigger filter. Now, first, let me dazzle you with my artistic ability here. Here's our pond. Say over here we have a skimmer. Oh, that was bad. And here's where we've got our waterfall. Now, what happens when you first set this thing up, everything's running good, pond looks good, you've got a few little koi in there, a little baby koi running around. It's nice, but over time, these koi get bigger, and all of a sudden now you got big old fish. See, I don't even try to make these look like fish, but those are big fish. Now, as you get the bigger fish, they're creating more waste products, you're having to feed more, probably overfeeding, because we all do. And now you have a lot of extra nitrates and ammonia in the pond, your algae's starting to take over. What do? Most people will run right out and try to buy a bigger filter or add a UV filter, which will work, and you may have to do at some point. But in the meantime, one thing you could do is add floating plants. You could use water hyacinth, you could use water lettuce, and those are the best ones, especially if you're in an area where it's legal to do that. In some of the southern states, you're not supposed to. Up north, where I'm at, you know, they're very expensive, but it's okay to use them because they die during the winter. So first thing you do is you throw those in the pond, and one of two things happens. Either they get sucked right into the filter, which is usually the first thing, or depending on how big these koi are, and they can get big. You know, at our store pond, we had a big one, you know. He was this big, really. Big Kahuna, that was his name. These plants are gone as soon as they hit the water. I mean, it'd be like throwing worms to them. It was just not going to work. So we started using floating net islands. Now, the floating net islands work great. Then what you have basically are these big circular islands, and you fill them with plants. And most places carry floating net islands. They look like this from a side view. They're kind of round, drop down, have a place for you to tie string and then hook it onto a rock or something to keep it tethered in one place. And you put all your plants in the actual island. What happens is as they grow, you know, they're not being eaten by the fish or sucked up by your skimmer. All of the net islands are going to fill, all the roots are going to come through, actually through the net island. Your fish are going to come nibble off the bottom of the roots, food for them, but it also is going to make the plants grow even more. More plants, they're competing with the algae for all the nutrients in the pond. Pretty soon you have good looking plants. Your hyacinth will even flower, a nice pretty purple flower, and you have a great looking pond, and you didn't spend a whole lot of money doing it. You know, so that's a great way to get started. One other thing you can do is if you have the flagstone on your waterfall, you know, the big wide flat stones that a lot of people have, just put the hyacinth or the water lettuce right on those. As long as the flow is not so much to push them in the water right away, and you might even dial it down for just a day or two, those roots are going to find their way into the little niches in the rock, settle up, and they'll look really good there. They'll even start growing, and you know how they start hanging over the edge. Great filter. Just make sure it doesn't block your flow so it doesn't divert water over the sides. And there you go. Extra filters, looks good, feed your fish, clean water, not a lot of expense. I have another video coming up. I'll talk to you a little bit more about external plant filters. Thanks for watching.